Hi everyone. In this session, I will be explaining Documentum fundamentals for the beginners, people who want to start their career in Documentum. This is a very good session for them. So I will be covering a few basic concepts of Documentum in this session. So let's start with. What are the offerings from this session? From this session, you will be learning these things like I have listed down all these things, whatever I will be explaining as part of this session. So I'll start with the prerequisite to learn the Documentum, and I will discuss something about the structured data versus unstructured data. I will discuss enterprise content management system versus web content management system. We'll discuss Documentum architecture. We'll list down few features of the Documentum and what are the products available from Documentum site, and what are the career options available as a Documentum professional. So all these things I will be explaining as part of this session. So let's start with. So these are the prerequisites required to start the Documentum learning. You should have a client server architecture knowledge. You should know the Java programming, and because Documentum is a Java based tool actually. So whenever you want to do some kind of development, you want to customize something, you want to design some UI components, or whatever the development task you want to do in Documentum. So you should know the Java programming because you have to write the code in Java language, and you should have some web technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript knowledge. Whenever you are designing or customizing any UI application, you need all these skill set to design the UI components. And you should have some Windows and Linux commands while installing the Documentum software, or when you are starting some services, when you are shutting down some services, you are checking some logs. For that time, you need some Windows or Linux commands and to work with that kind of work. Then you need some basic database knowledge, like how you can connect a database from the database client, how you can execute SQL queries, how you can create table, delete table. So basic database concept, not high level, because we never will never work a database directly in as part of Documentum development. We'll always do on Documentum coding. So that underlying thing will be database. So if you have the basic knowledge, we are good to start with. The very first concept I have explained here, structured data versus unstructured data. So to discuss about these two things, I'll start one example. Let's you have employee records. So when I'm talking employee records, then you will have employee information. Like you will have a lot of information about the employee. I have captured few of them here for the example purpose. So let's see how employee ID, employee name, mobile number, address, and the department of employee, and location of the employee, and with the HOD for that department where the employee works. So let's you have all these in informations available. So whenever we want to store this kind of data into any system, we define the structure first. So before storing the data to the system, we'll define the structure. So you can see in this particular screen, I have added two tables, one for employee table and the other for the department table. And I have organized the data in this two table. So basically I have defined, okay, you can see I have a EID and we have a department ID. So I have added, these are the two primary key column in these two tables. Like these are the database concepts. So I have designed two on different table and I have organized the data. Then as per this structure, I will be storing data in my database table. So this is a very typical example of the structured data. So any data we store to the storage, or any data that can be formatted or that can be organized in predefined structure before storing into the system called the structured data. So this also called as schema on write. So any data that can be formatted to a predefined format before storing to the storage called the structured data. So any data we are storing into RDBMS database called the structured data, because in RDBMS database we store the data in table format. So we have the rows and columns. Typical example how I have put it in this script. So before storing the data into RDBMS tables, we define the structure. That's why any data that can be stored in the RDBMS database table called the structured data, except blob type object. So blob type object is nothing but it's not it's like content file. So exact data would be there inside the content file actually. So that will come to later. So except the blob type, any data like any textual form or anything that we can store in the database table, RDBMS table called the structured data. Then what is unstructured data? So unstructured data, I'll give the example first, like how I was explaining the structured data. So your soft copy of your resume or soft copy of your payslip. So all these are like unstructured data. Whatever the data, it's there in native format. Your payslip would be in PDF file, or your resume would be in PDF file, or Microsoft document file. So those kind of format it would be there. So actual data is inside that content file. So if you want to know the what actual data is, then you have to read the document. Then only you can know the okay, these are the data available in this document. I'll give the example of the resume. Let's say you have resume is in PDF format, and your educational detail, your professional summary, your skill set, your personal details, everything mentioned inside the resume. So whenever you store this document, data is not processed, or you don't know the structure, because everything is there inside the document. Whenever you want to process it, you have to read it. So that's why sometimes unstructured data is called schema on read. So when you are reading it, you can get the information and you can define the structure. So these are the examples of unstructured data. So basically these will be stored in the native format. And whatever the topic I'll be discussing here, the basic things of the documentum. So basically documentum is a platform that will be used for the managing and storing the unstructured data. So this is a enterprise content management tool. So basically all these content files that would be managed by the documentum platform. Let's start with the documentum history. So Documentum was a company founded in 1990 by a few ex company engineers, uh, and their intention was to develop a product or develop a software that will manage the unstructured data. Till that time, there was a lot of RDBMS database was available in the market that was managing the structured data, and to manage the unstructured data, these people started their own company called Documentum. And later on, they have released a few softwares with different names, and finally it came with a software called Documentum. And that Documentum software was managing the unstructured data. The company name was Documentum, and the software they have released as a Documentum, the same name. And in 2003, Documentum company was acquired by EMC, and it became EMC Documentum. And later on in 2017, Documentum was acquired by OpenText. Now it's called OpenText Documentum. Since the Documentum software owned by these three company in his lifetime till now, that's why you might see some kind of prefix before Documentum. Sometime it will refer as a Documentum, sometime EMC Documentum, sometime OpenText Documentum. So all are same. Since it's owned by different company at the different time, that's why company name or the owner company name prefix to that software. So all are Documentum. Don't confuse about that those things. So the Documentum basically is a software that manages the enterprise content management. So that's why we sometimes called Documentum as a enterprise content management system. To understand enterprise content management system, we often confuse about what is enterprise content management system and web content management system. In order to clear that air, I have added this slide, and here I just added two key things and to differentiate the web content management system and the enterprise content management system. Then what is web content management system? So whenever you are using a website to enhance the website experience or to enhance the user experience in the website, uh, we often added a lot of content to that website. Like we have added video files, we have added the audio files, we have added the document, or we have embedded the document links to that website. So all these things are there in the website in order to enhance the user experience in the website. So to manage those content, we use the web content management system. So these are the very lightweight, and it manages that kind of content that is available in the websites, and those content are there in website in order to enhance the user experience in the website. But enterprise content management system is the superset of the web content management system. In enterprise content management system, contents are generated as part of the business processes. So in any enterprise level of company we are seeing, let's say let's start with in banking company. In that bank, they have for everything they have some process set. Let's say how to open the document, how to process the loan application, how to approve the credit card application. So for everything they have the process set. So as part of this process, that process itself will be generating lot of content, and to create that content or to approve that content or how to distribute that content, for everything they have rules applied. So enterprise content management system add the timeline for each of the content. So whenever contents got generated to from this business processes, enterprise content management system added some timeline to that, when that content would be generated, when it should be distributed, when it should be deleted, or when it should be archived. So everything, all the rules, it will apply to those content. So basically the content that got generated from the enterprise business processes called the enterprise content. And to manage those content, we use the enterprise content management system. And enterprise content management system, it will not only manage the content, it will also put business processes in place. It will put some approval process, it will put some creation process, it will put some distribution process. It will enforce a lot of other rules actually to that content. In order to manage those kind of content, we use the enterprise content management system. And Documentum is a typical enterprise content management system. So when we talk about the enterprise content management system, we have to understand from where that enterprise content comes actually. So here I have added different sources from where we can get the enterprise contents, or what are the sources where the enterprise contents got generated. So you can see many things here, starting from the R&D, compliance, process portal, customer newsletter, production SOPs, brand management system. So from all these sources, a lot of enterprise content generated. And to manage those enterprise level content, we use the Documentum. So like I'll give one example how that content got generated in the brand management system. Let's for you have a company for managing your brand, you might be creating the logo, and you might be creating some video to share in the social media, or you are creating some kind of images and sharing the social media, or anything that is required to manage the brand, or you have to promote your brand. So it will have a lot of video file, it will have a lot of image file, it will have a lot of documents. So these are the content generated from the uh, brand management system, and those content we can store in the ECM platform and we can manage this. Let's we have one logo that generated from the brand management system, and we have stored in the enterprise content management system. And after 2 3 years or 5 years, we have rebranded our company, or we have redesigned our logo. Then we have the latest version available, then we have to push that latest version to the eSIM platform. So like this, from any of the component we are seeing here, so every component generate a lot of enterprise level content. So those kind of content we store in the Documentum platform, and Documentum platform manages those kind of content. Here I've added key components of the ECM platform. So ECM platform will have these key components. I'll start from the source where the content got generated and how it reaches. It's means how it passed through the life cycle of the full content management system. So you can see I have different stages. I have mentioned here: source, capture, manage, process, collaborate, archive, integrate. So I'll start from the source. That in previous slide I have added the different sources where that enterprise content can be generated. So let's from any of these sources content got generated. So that will come in the source. Once the this content got generated, that need to be captured in our ECM platform. Then once the once the content got generated here, let me put some highlighter or some arrows that will be useful. So once the content got generated here in the source, it will be captured in our enterprise content management system. So in this phase, we'll capture our enterprise content. Once that enterprise content capture, what does it mean? Means whatever the content got generated, we have to store somewhere. So it will talk about the storage. Then we have to design some eSIM platform. Then we'll store those content in the system. Let's say in this content and this eSIM platform, we'll store it. Once that is stored, then it need to be managed. Then what is managed? Whenever we are storing the content in the ECM platform, it's not like that whatever the content we have stored in the platform that is easily accessible to everyone, because there should be some rule involved. Like if some content generated, I want to give access to a few of the employee in the company to that content. Like everyone should not have access, even though, and everyone should not have the same access. Few users should be able to view it, few users should be able to edit it, few users should be able to delete it, but there should not be same access for everyone. In order to do that, we have to add some security, because we have to add some permission set and we have to define different role. Okay, for this role we are giving write access, for this role we are giving read access, those kind of things we have to put it. So that will come under the manage. So this is how the content it will eSIM platform will manage. Then whenever it's required, that will be processed. So let's say in a company, as part of their process, they have defined a process for processing the loan application. So in this loan application, they would, whatever the content capture, they will be using that. So at that time they will use this content. So in that business processes, content will be used. So when they are using this content, that time it will come one concept called collaboration. Let's in one team or in loan application approval team, there are two different sections available. One group take care of verifying the document, and other group take care of the approval process. So then these two team need to be collaborate. So what are the documents available in the eSIM platform, that need to be collaborated between these two. So these two system, these two group will collaborate to process the loan application form. So basically this content management platform and that ECM platform, that enterprise content management platform, provide the collaboration functionality as well. Then once that document was processed, then we might have to archive that document, or might have to archive that content. So archiving that, nowadays a lot of cloud-based archival things available, or you can archive in your in-premise environment. So once that is done, then once you have processed everything, then you can archive the content. Once that archive, then you might have to put some rules actually how long you want to store the content file. Like once everything done, every process completed, and you have stored the content or you have archived the content in your archival system, it's not like you will be keeping it for the lifelong. So there should be some rule involved how long you want to keep the document in your system, and when you want to when you should delete that. So that will be based upon the business rules. You will apply the retention policy. After 2 3 years or after 5 years, the document will be removed from the system. So that will come under this kind of thing, retention policy, everything will come in this archival concept. So now one thing is another, the last one is integrate. So ECM platform actually, it's not like ECM platform will work inside the ECM platform only. So sometime you will have different third party system. So like you have SAP system to manage your ERP related things. You have some Oracle financial product to managing the financial things. So ECM platform allows to integrate the ECM platform to other third party system. So it will provide the lot of services like REST services or SOAP services, or it will provide some API in order to integrate the eSIM platform to the other third-party system. So that will come under the integration. So there is a whole components actually. What are the components available in the ECM platform? So I think it would be good enough to understand the components of the ECM. Then we'll go next. So I have added one use case actually. In order to understand the ECM platform perfectly, I have added one use case. So whenever I'm talking the ECMS or Enterprise Content Management System, so you can just relate these ECMS to Documentum. So ECMS may be any Enterprise Content Management System. So Documentum is one of them. So there are other products available in the market like IBM FileNet, SharePoint, uh, Oracle Web Center, many thing product available. So one such product is Documentum. So whenever I'm talking ECMS, you can relate to Documentum as well. So I have a typical home loan application flow here actually. So you can see that I have added this home loan application flow here. So in this home loan application, I have a different activity. So I have three different category of people available here. One is applicant, and second one is loan processing team. So people who are involved in the loan processing will approve or will verify your documents, will approve your loan. Once loan got approved, then there will be accounting team in the bank. So what they will do once the loan approved, so they will take the invoice and they will uh, mm, credit the money to your bank account. So all these three type of people involved. So I'll start with application submission process. Then I will end with that money got credited to the applicant account. So you can see that I have a different activity. I'm just highlighting this activity. So this one, the one activity where the applicant will submit the loan application with supporting documents. So what we'll do, let's I want to apply the loan, home loan. So what we'll do, I'll fill one home loan application form. I'll arrange the supporting documents, like what are the documents required for the home loan processing. I will have that land copy, it's a land deed copy, land registration paper, my income proof. What are the documents? I cannot list down all the documents, whatever the required for the home loans. So I just giving the example. So all these documents I have to collect it first. Once I have the documents ready, I will send that document, my home loan application along with supporting documents to bank. So inside bank, there's some process setup. What the process setup? Then the bank. Let's give this example. Bank put a process in the inside their bank, that once application and documents received in the bank end, there would be one team. They will verify the documents. Whatever the documents came as part of a loan application, they will verify the authenticity. Okay, these are the documents, the genuine document or not, or these are the documents required for home loan application form, or any other things are missing, so that they will ask applicant to submit those missing documents. So this team will take care of the verifying the documents, and there is one more team. They will check the eligibility. So the first team, what I was talking, that the document verification, they will just verify the documents, all the documents are there or not, there should not be any missing documents, and all the documents are the genuine or not. Once they have verified those documents, they will then there would be one other team called eligibility check team. That team will check whether how much money or how much amount the applicant is asking for home loan, that is he is eligible to get that much money or not. So that kind of eligibility check this team will do. So this team will have their bank, every bank will have its own process or own rule actually to deciding how much money they should give as a home loan amount, because it depends on your land value, depends on your income source. So all the things involved actually. So based upon their internal rule, they will decide, okay, this much money, if I am applying for 1 lakh or 10 lakhs, then bank can decide, okay, this candidate can get 10 lakh or less than that, whatever the things as per their rule, they will check that. So that is the eligibility check. Once the eligibility check done and the applicant is eligible to get the loan, then they will send it for the approval. Then one more team would be there. They will validate. They will have their own process actually. Before approving the loan, what are the things they have to check? They might check some CIBIL score or whatever the things they want to check it. So they'll check those things, and once they have checked everything, either they will approve or they will reject. If they are rejecting the application, the application will be rejected, and directly actually the rejection flow I didn't add here. So that flow would be like once it's rejected, then customer or the applicant would be intimated by the SMS or email that your application got rejected. So once it's approval, so I am just talking about the happy flow, like positive scenarios, like your application got approved. Once it's approved, in this page some payment receipt will be generated, and that receipt will be sent for the other team, like accounting team. So you can see that there is one arrow to this activity. So in this activity, accounting team will review the receipt whatever the generated by the loan approval team, and once that they have reviewed the document, they will send for the payment. So in bank, normally some banking payment scheduler is schedule when they might be running some batches like NEFT how is running now. So and daily twice or thrice they will process this bank sorry, home loan credit money credit activity. So those kind of things they will be doing it. So once that is that accounting team review the receipt, they will send for the payment, and once that specific time arrives, bank will do the payment, and that payment money will be reflected in the bank account applicant's account here. So these are the top level activities involved here. So I'll go to more detail here now. So I'll start from the beginning now. Let's applicant send the application with supporting documents, and it reaches to the document verification. So in this time I will be explaining where and all what are the content generated and how our system will manage that. So when the loan application submitted, it will submit a lot of documents along with it. So then once that application or document received in the banking system, then those documents called the enterprise content document, because those are the generated as part of the home loan processing system, and it has some defined predefined rules actually and predefined processes. All the documents received in banking end, that will be stored in the eSIM platform. So whatever the document received in this activity, it will be stored in this platform. Now the document contents are available in the eSIM platform. Now document verification team, they will validate verify the document, and once they have verified the documents, they will send it for the next activity. So as part of this verification process, they might be generating some document, like once they have verified, and they have to the person whoever verifying the document, he might put his digital signature to any specific approval document, and saying that okay, he is approving and he verified the document, and it's as per my knowledge all the documents are correct, and everything all the documents required for the home loan processing it's there, and I can send for the next activity. So whatever the content generated as a part of this process will be also stored in this system. Now in eligibility check, so eligibility check a team, they might need what are the documents came from the applicant. So whenever they want to see okay what are the monthly income of the applicant, and what are the land property available, because they have to take a decision that how much in principal amount they want to approve. So in order to know that, they should know the those details, like your income details, your land valuation details. In order to know that, they have to read those documents. So whenever they want to read the document, so they will okay, from this system they will read the document from the eSIM platform. So now you can see that this platform is doing a collaboration job, because that document came from the applicant, it came from the document verification team. Now eligibility team it's checking those documents. So there it's a team collaboration is happening here. So once that those document they can see it, they want to put any new documents, or they want to add few things, they will add it here. So once that eligibility done, let's I have applied for 10 lakhs and I got approval for the 8 lakh. So once that approval done, then it will go to next activity, that is the loan approval, and the send for the payment activity. At the same time, when the approval done, uh, that our applicant will be notified by email or by SMS that okay, my loan application got approved and I got approval for the 8 lakhs. So this is what it's there is one more arrow you can see, you might be seeing here. So by this email message, we are notifying to applicant. So once it's eligibility done, then it will go for the loan approval process. In the loan approval process, and here if you need any document need to be read from the previous activity that already stored in the ECM platform. These people can read from here, and whenever they have approved the application, it will generate the payment receipt. So now in this activity, we are generating a payment receipt. Then that payment receipt will be stored in this ECM platform as well. So now once this activity done, then it will go for the payment. So in this payment, accounting team also will review. So after reviewing this payment receipt, accounting team will generate few other documents as well. So those documents will be stored in this ECM platform as well. The same time when our accounting team wants to view the payment receipt, review the payment receipt, of course it's already stored in the ECM platform. From the ECM platform, they can get that payment receipt and they can review it. Once that is done, it will go for the payment, and as per the banking schedule, it will be payment for it will go for payment, and finally amount will be reflected in the applicant's account. Then that's the end of bank loan processing. So this is the typical example of the ECM. I have explained like how in each of the activity that our banking system it's generating a lot of content, and we are storing in our ECM platform, and later on we are using those documents or those content to process our home loan application. Let's start with Documentum architecture. So typically from high level, Documentum has three different components. One is called repository, the other one is called content server, and third one is called client applications. So typically from the top level, like from the high level, we can see these are the basic three components. Then I will explain each of this component with detail. What is a repository and what is inside that? What are the key components of the repository, and what is content server, and what are the things inside that content server, and what are the components available in the content server, and what are the client applications available? What kind of content application are available from the Documentum? So those things I will be talking in this session. So let's start with from the very first concept, which Documentum repository. So what is repository? So I have added this picture. So it explain that how the repository actually internally. So the repository is nothing but the system which actually store the content. So which actually manages the enterprise content. So not manages, which actually store the content. So any content we are generating and we are storing in Documentum system, that will store in the Documentum repository. So in Documentum repository, it has a basically two part. One is called file store, and other one is called database. So you might be seeing I have here uh, two section added. This is content files were there. These are stored in the file store, and all these metadata you are seeing here, all the tables, it's database. Basically this is database part, this is file store part. So in the repository is basically, this is a very logical this is the very logical name actually. So actually the repository consists of two things. One is file system, and other one is the RDBMS database. So in the file system is a typical file system, file storage, where we store all content files. And in database we store a lot of data, means structured data. So I'll explain from where since I explained already that Documentum platform is useful for managing unstructured data, and from where that structured data will come, and that we are storing the database, that I will explain later. Basically we manage or we store the content in this repository. So every content file has some metadata, or we call as attribute. So those attribute we store in this RDBMS. In detail I'll explain later. So just for some understanding purpose, just keep it that some metadata or some structured data we extract from the content file information, that we store in the RDBMS table. So this repository consists of two part. One is file system and one is the database part. So file system will have the actual content files, and this database tables will have the metadata. So I have added one very good example here. So I have one document called sample underscore document dot doc file in my system. So I have added a screenshot you might be seeing here. So this is one file here I have in my system. Okay. So in this file, so I have some data inside that document file. Let's I have added my professional experience detail, my educational background details, some information I have inside the sample document. So now the sample document has the actual data. That sample document will be stored in the documentum repository, and that documentum repository will store the sample document, plus it will extract few metadata or a few properties from this document and will store in some RDBMS database. In our documentum platform, actually documentum platform is meant for to managing these kind of unstructured data, like this is a word document, this is a unstructured data example, and documentum platform is meant for managing this kind of data actually. So how the documentum is designed, the documentum system, now you might be seeing that sample document has many metadata available, basically actual data inside the sample document, and there are some data available to describe that content file. So there is a name, the name of the document is sample document sample underscore document dot doc, and that the file got last modified on 4th July 2021, and the type of the file is doc document, and the size of the file is 34 KB. So whatever the data I just explained here, that the file name, date modified, type, size, all these are the not the actual data. Actual data is inside the sample document. These are the data about that sample document. Basically these are the data about the data, and computer science we call that as metadata. And documentum concept, sometime in this metadata referred as attributes and properties. So don't confuse about these three. So all three are same. Metadata, attributes, properties, all are same. So these are basically data about the content files. So in the repository concept, documentum repository concept, the sample document will be stored in the content file, content store. So here the sample document will be stored. And whatever the metadata you are seeing here, what are the metadata you are seeing, like the file name, date modified, type, and size. So all these data we can organize in the tabular form, and that data will be stored in the database table. So in RDBMS table here, this kind of data will be stored, metadata will be stored. That's why I was telling that a documentum repository consisting of two part. One is file system and is other is a database part. File system will store the actual file content file, and this RDBMS database will store the metadata of that content file. Let's explain that architecture in more detail. So I have whenever you are installing the documentum software, so first of all, before starting with, you should have the database ready. So I have a database install, and I have one file system ready. So let's say I'm in my system, I am installing the documentum software. So I have dedicated one folder in D drive for, let's say, inside the D drive I have added one folder called DCTM. So like this DCTM something, I have added one folder, and inside that I will be storing all the files that will be generated, and that file will be used as a content store for my documentum platform. So these two things ready. So now I have these two things ready, like I have RDBMS database ready and file system ready. Then first component we install as part of the documentum installation is doc broker. So this doc broker, actually I'll explain what the doc broker is a little later. So just as of now, just remember that we have to install the doc broker first whenever we are installing the documentum. So this doc broker I'll install, and so I have the install the doc broker. I'll install the content server. This content server is actually the heart of the documentum platform. So it actually manages the enterprise content, it manages the repository. So this content server is the server who actually manages the repository. So whenever I am installing the content server, that once that content server means while installing the content server, it requires the information of the file storage and the RDBMS database. Basically, because whatever the content file will be pushed to the repository, it will be via content server. So all these information like file system details and my database details, all the details will be used while installing the content server. When content server is ready and the content server is installed, the details of the content server like host name, port number, in which port content server is running, those details will be published to the doc broker. So doc broker will have the information about the content server actually. So for content server, doc broker is a naming server. So naming server will have the information about the content server, so that anyone wants to connect to content server, they have to check with the doc broker, and doc broker will give the information saying that okay, here that the content server is available and you can connect. So let's talk about the client application. Let's I have the client applications. So whenever we are designing or developing a client application, there are a lot of out of box client application available from the um, uh, documentum side, like webtop, D2, XCP, and we can design our own client application using DFC API or using DFS services, custom and custom documentum REST services. Using all those components, we can design our own client application as well. So whenever we are designing the client application, so in client application we have to put or we have to give the information about the doc broker actually. We never expose content server directly to the client. So in client application, we'll give the information about the doc broker. So there would be one properties file called dfc.properties file in most of the application. There we put the doc broker details. So in the doc broker detail, in that file, we'll put the doc broker details like doc broker name, host name or IP address. We can put it and the port in which port the doc broker is running. So in the client application, we'll provide the doc broker details. Whenever client application wants to talk to content server, then it will first talk to doc broker, and doc broker will return the content server details to client application. And now client application has the content server details that it got from the doc broker. Once the client content server application is available in the client application, then client application will talk to content server. So whatever, if client application want to push some document to repository, or client application want to read some documents from the repository, then that client application will send the request to content server, and content server will process that request, and finally content server will send the response to client application. You might be seeing here that before getting the content server details, client application talk to doc broker. Once client application got the information about the content server, application never talk to doc broker. Then once client application got the information about the content server, directly client application talk to content server for all the transactions. So here I have explained on these components actually. So we'll see what are the details about each component, what is inside and inside that. So first, very important component is a content server. So this is the heart of the Documentum platform, and it provides all the services like content related services for Documentum platform. So it manages the content actually, and it provides the content management service. It provides process management service. It provides security services and content metadata, content security services for content and metadata for both. And it do provide some distributed services. So in content management services, it provides like versioning, security, rendition, a lot of things it provides actually, content transfer. And for the process management services, like day-to-day activity, we are designing a lot of business processes. So content server provide that functionality to manage the workflows. So all these things will come under the content server. And in the whenever you are content installing the content server, as part of the content server, a lot of other internal component will be installed in the content server. So I have added these components. It has many more components, so I have added few or highlighted few important components of content server. So whenever we are installing the content server, as part of the content server, one embedded server install, we call that JMS. So this server is meant for executing the any Java code we will write, or any Java code as is there as part of the our application that will be executed in this Java method server. So this nowadays in Documentum 20.4, and that open text providing Wildfly as the JMS server. So basically, this is a server embedded in the content server. So it also provide accelerated content services to for content transformation between the client and repository. So it also comes with branch office caching. So if you have the distributed architecture design, and you want to use some caching concept, so that is provided by the content server, and it's one of the component VOCs. And it also provide the process engine in order to manage and in order to execute the business processes. It has the process engine, so that you can design the workflow and you can work on that workflow part. Then next component is Doc Broker. So Doc Broker, it's as I explained, it's a naming server for the Documentum content server. So Doc Broker will have all the information about the Documentum content server. Let's say if I have high availability architecture and I have a high availability system, I will have multiple content server for the one repository. Then all these content server details will be available in the Doc Broker. So whenever client application wants to talk to content server, he has to talk to Doc Broker, and Doc Broker will give the content server details. So this is a naming server for the content server, and it's to provide the information about the client session. That's why we have already explained. And sometimes we call it a connection broker as well. And the repository, as I explained, repository will have file store to store the content files, and it will have the RDBMS database system to store the metadata or the properties. So this is the high level of the Documentum architecture, basic things. So based upon the product, actually which product you want to learn, like if you in the future session I will be explaining few XCP topics, a few D2 topics and WebTop topics. In those topics we will see how that client application is used, and how they are fitting into this Documentum architecture, and how they are communicating with the Documentum system for their content management services. So here I have added or I have listed down the few features of the Documentum. So this will talk why one company should opt Documentum as their content management platform or enterprise content management platform. So it provides a lot of features. So we'll discuss one by one what are the key features Documentum provides, so that any of the organization can get benefited from the Documentum features. So it provides a wide range of enterprise content services. So it include like whenever you are managing content using the content management platform Documentum, it provides life cycle management. Like if you have for one document, you might have many life cycle associated. Like you have a document when it's created, maybe draft state, it may be then reviewed, then published, then absolute. So I mean, what are the life cycle available? So that those kind of things available in Documentum. You can manage the document life cycle. It provides the versioning, so you can store a document and later on you want to modify the document, and you don't want to lose the document what you have stored earlier, then you can store that document as the next version. So both the version will be available in the system. That versioning also it provides. It provides the metadata control. You can edit, delete, modify whatever the things you want to do, you can do that metadata. And whatever the things you are doing, that will be stored in the audit trail also, that if any compliance team or any legal team wants to see who modified and what they have modified, those kind of things also they can get it from the audit control. It provides the search services. So Documentum provides separate search server, explore server, in order to provide the search services. It do have some internal search algorithm also as part of Documentum. You can add some other services in order to get the search benefits. It supports wide range of file formats. Means it's almost support all the document format available in the industry. So all the document format supported by the Documentum. Then Documentum also provides a personalized user experience. So based upon the user, you can personalize the UI components. Let's say I have two different group. I want to show one set of UI for one group, and I want to show different set of UI for different group. That is also possible. Role based user experience we can provide as part of a Documentum. If you are using D2 or XCP, so anything you are using, any or WebTop, any client application you are using, we can personalize the user experience. And we can provide the task based case views as well. So it comes under mostly in the XCP, because XCP is a client application from the Documentum that is meant for case management requirements. So you can personalize the user experience based on roles and task based case views. It provides the process management functionality. We can design our workflow, we can design business processes using, and that will have the manual activity or automated activity. So this to explain this workflow, you if you can recollect, I was explaining that home loan processing system. In that process there was a lot of activities involved, lot of manual tasks, lot of automated activity involved. So those kind of things we can design, that kind of business process we can design, and document and support that. And it has one of important things, content governance. It provides a lot of encryption with the API PS standard and default 128-bit AEC key standard. So it provides a lot of encryption algorithm as well in order to encrypt. In fact, Documentum has functionality to enable the trusted content storage, so that every content you are storing in the file store will be encrypted. So even though someone navigated to your file storage and they are able to get the document, still they cannot get read the document because that file is encrypted. And that kind of encryption functionality are there in Documentum, that customer can be benefited from that functionality. It also provides the retention and disposition functionality. Like once document or content captured in the ECM platform or Documentum platform, how long you want to keep it, and what is your disposition rule. So those kind of things you can set up in the content management system Documentum as well. And Documentum is extensible and interoperable. So what does it mean? So Documentum leverage the standard technologies like content management, intelligence service, we called as CMIS, SOAP and RESTful APIs. So whatever the basically these are the two things, two kind of web services available. So Documentum leverage this standard, and it provides the flexibility to integrate and extend the functionality of the Documentum beyond Documentum platform. So if you have other third-party application like SAP, Oracle ERP, or Oracle Financial application, any other application you have, or Pega. So whatever the other applications you have available, you want to integrate that application with the Documentum platform, that is possible. And you have a wide range of options available, starting from the SOAP service, REST service. You have DFC API. You have a lot of connectors available. So like SAP connector, SharePoint connector. So a lot of things available. You can extend the content management system, and you can interoperable with other systems. And Documentum is cloud ready. So basically Documentum is cloud enabled. You can set up Documentum platform in any of these public cloud like Azure cloud or Google cloud or AWS cloud. Any cloud, public cloud, you can set Documentum environment. The OpenText also provides its own content cloud. If you want to use that also, that is there, that you can take advantages of the OpenText content cloud. Documentum is secure and scalable, so it's robust and fault tolerant. It provides a lot of languages, and it's very secure as well. So Documentum has wide support of the international languages. You can design the UI using English, German, or Japanese. So that kind of support is possible in Documentum. And content collaboration. So it provides a wide range of functionality collaborating between the teams. If you have the multiple teams working in the one project, and it need a collaboration on the specific documents, and the content management system Documentum provides those kind of functionality as well. So it is helpful for the content collaboration as well. So these are the very high level features Documentum provides. when you start digging into each of these concept more in the coming slides or coming sessions, then will be know that how Documentum provides each of these functionalities. So here are the list of products available from the Documentum. So it's not that full list. I have just highlighted few popular product here. So there are other products or any other internal products are there. That are supporting products are there. So content server I have explained very thoroughly in previous slides. And WebTop, this is the one of the client application for Documentum. So it's a web-based application, and it use one framework called WDK, Web Development Kit, to customize this web application. So based upon user requirement, you can customize this application. And Documentum Administrator, this is a application for the admins who wants to work as a Documentum Administrator. It has a lot of functionalities for the admin purpose. And Documentum D2, so this is a client application configurable product. You can do a lot of customization in the D2 without using any code. So it provides highly configurable components. You can just configure few things, and you have a brand new UI ready for the customers. So that is possible using D2. And there are XCP. XCP is a case management product. So it's suitable for the case management requirements. So that XCP is one of the important things nowadays. WebTop, no new customer uses WebTop. Most of the people uses D2 or XCP. And CTS, one such product, this is used for the content transformation. So content transformation, like if you have a Word file I want to convert to PDF, or I have Word file I want to convert to text file. So those kind of conversion is possible in the content transformation. So it's Explore. As I explained, Explore is the server to manage the search. So a search functionality can be added to the Documentum repository or Documentum platform using Explore. It not only search the, you can search the document based on the metadata. You can also full check the full content of the document. So you can search the keyword from the file content, and the Documentum will show the document based upon the Explore, and you can achieve the search functionality. And Documentum Composer, this is a ID meant for the developers to develop the Documentum artifacts. So this is a CLI based ID. It's used for the designing and developing the Documentum artifacts. And there are a lot of Documentum extension and connectors available. So Documentum has Documentum REST API, Documentum Foundation Services. It has SAP integrator. It has SharePoint integrator. It has Office integrator. So a lot of connectors and integrator are there. So that also available, so that you can use for extending your Documentum platform beyond the ECM. So then what are the career options available as a document professional? So there are basically two category. Either you would be a Documentum developer, or you become a Documentum administrator. So to be a Documentum developer, you should have Java web programming knowledge. You should have client server architecture knowledge. You should know the web technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You should have database knowledge. Database knowledge, like basic concepts, is fine. And from the beginning, I have explained in the previous side of the Documentum side, I was talking what are the requirement. So those kind of high level is okay. And as an administrator, you would be knowing, you should know that the basic ways, the commands for Unix and Linux, because whenever you are installing the Documentum support both Windows and Linux. So based upon the environment, we need the commands to execute. So you should have very good log monitoring skills, so that we have to figure it out where the issue is and what error we are seeing the log. So those kind of skill set it's required to become an administrator. And we should know that basic database queries, so that we can work as a admin, Documentum admin. So these are the career options available as a Documentum professional. So I hope this video is helpful for the beginners who wants to start their career in Documentum. And I have explained Documentum architecture and Documentum basic concepts thoroughly. In the coming sessions, we'll be discussing, or we'll be talking about the more detail of Documentum development and Documentum concepts. Until now, bye bye. Thank you.